of like to approach this from the angle of how you as actors can make analysis work for you. And if Mike's the good cop, I'm going to be the bad cop today. And I'm going to ask you guys to work with me and close your laptops. I know it's a big request to close them, put them either in your chairs or in the middle of the desk, and then sit on top of your desks. Huh? Yeah, maybe if there's time at the end of the day. I promise you we'll get to use laptops later. So.
Sarah, I didn't know he was going to have you sitting on top of your desk.
Well, you can sit down. All right, so first a little bit about my experience with the system of force. I first encountered it in Meisner 2 working with Dr. Kirkland. And actually, I was in a scene with Mike doing Chekhov, and we were doing Cherry Orchard. And what happened is we were getting into rehearsals, and we knew that the scene was due, the scene analysis was due in a couple of weeks. And so we kind of put it off to the side, and we thought it was fine until Dr. Kirkland sits in on the rehearsal, and he goes, "Zach, why are you entering the door?" I don't know, if Chekhov says so. What are you looking for? So I wrote it off because I took advantage of the kindness of Dr. Kirkland, and I didn't realize that it wasn't just a scholarly activity. And that's what I hope you guys can take away from this today, is that it's more than just something you write down. It's something that can actually help you create a really good piece of art. So consider for a second this quote from one of our great acting teachers, and I'll tell you who it is in a second. "Many actors never fully shake off the childish notion that the real world came into existence only on the day of their own birth. We have to understand, not just with our heads, but in our hearts and souls, that since the beginning of time, human beings have been human beings." Think about it for a second. Now, how does that relate to textual analysis? All right. Now, I'm going to play a video that I think helps make my point by juxtaposing some of the world of Shakespeare against modern cultural perspectives. And just a disclaimer, I have to warn you, there's a little bit of mature language involved. So if you want to leave the room now, you can. We won't judge. Who won, guys? Who won? All right, better question. Wait, better question. Why do we find this ridiculous?
Because it's true.
Because they're from completely different cultures.
Exactly. And so a lot of the times we have preconceived notions about the way people from different time periods behave, and we have to realize that they were human beings too. And so think about the modern parallels to today. Who are our poets today that use language to create art? Yeah, they're one of them. So let me go on to the next quote. All right, it's actually a continuation of the same quote. "They have always eaten, slept, made love, washed and dressed, worked and played, been born and died. They've always been capable of love, hate, jealousy, greed, generosity, compassion, and cruelty. What separates them and brings about difference in their external behavior is caused not only by the differing landscapes, clothing, and objects they handle, but by the influence of the particular social order, its cultures, values, fashion, and manners. These are the things we must explore." Okay. And so that is the point behind the system of fours that I'm going to introduce you guys to, is how do we use the text to discover the values that made these people behave in the way they did. Okay. So, how do we as actors start to act? Well, we have a process. You put yourself into given circumstances of the character as if they were your own. You feel the character's needs. You form objectives whereby the character seeks to satisfy them. And then you pursue those objectives using the actions of the characters if they were your own. But how do you get to steps 1 through 4? As actors, it's our duty to carry on that energy. So we all know this, up here, but I would argue we also know it in here. So actually what we're going to do is play just a quick little game to demonstrate this. Everyone make a circle as best we can. I know it's going to be tough and we may be squished. Okay, yeah, connect the circle. Okay. All right, everyone put out your left hand. All right, everyone put your right hand on top of the left hand. All right. All right, now this is called an impulse circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to initiate a light slap. And as soon as she, yes, this is keep going, all right? Now don't try and do anything. Just focus on receiving it and passing it on. Now, how do you guys think that game relates to textual analysis? How the flow of energy relates to scene work?
I mean, like, when you're going through a play, you want to have, like, a continuous flow of energy. You don't want it suddenly to be really fast and then come to one scene and then it goes back to the dead slap. Because then it'll just fall apart.
That is perfect. I don't even have to read the rest of my page. The only addendum I would say is that making the slap happen became the objective. Did you guys have to pretend to be yourselves or anything like that? No. What happened is you became so focused on the task that you relaxed, you weren't efforting anything. It just was a part of you. And eventually it stopped. You stopped trying to drive the slap. And what the slap did is it drove you. Our primary job as actors at AMON is to receive energy, react, and in turn act in a way that moves the scene forward to its ultimate destination. It's a chain of events. One thing happens causes another thing to happen. But while transferring energy may create honest and focused human interaction, it's not necessarily drama, right? So what does create drama?
Conflict.
Yes, absolutely. Where does conflict come from?
Opposing objectives.
Louder, I'm hard
Opposing
to hear.
objectives.
Yeah, exactly. The two characters have needs that oppose each other. So, it kind of reminds me of a sports game. Do you guys like sports? Yay! All right. Who is one of your favorite rivalries? Do you guys have are you guys a big fan of Cowboys or Redskins or Steelers? So you hate Baltimore, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, why do we hate Baltimore? Why do we hate that opposing team? That's part of who they are. That affects relationship, location, and history. So these givens affect our relationships and the action itself. You guys have a firm grip on this. So I'm not going to try and belabor the point any. Characters with opposing needs create conflict, so in a scene, don't dilute it by making everything amicable. This was another thing Mike and I messed up on. Probably me more so than Mike, but we were doing a Greek scene, and we were playing father and son, and I was trying to appease my father, and he was trying to win me over, and so one of the criticisms Scott leveled at me was that, I don't think you're fighting for anything. So if we aren't fighting for anything, then there's no problem, there's no conflict, there's no change, and if there's no change, there's no story, is there? So that's singular, it's immediate, and it's extremely important because it relates back to what Willie wants overall. His deepest lifelong need lives in the present moment, giving it all the urgency of a life and death struggle. One person can look at something one way and then another way. So we have some freedom in the creative process to make different choices. And it's when we make really interesting and provocative choices that serve the needs of the play that people appreciate that. And it's in those choices that, people say, oh, you moved me because of that choice you made. Okay, so how do we get to a place where we understand what choices can be made? Well, that's through part 4, the character analysis. It's where we develop the lens of the character, the way they see the world, and how we start to align ourselves with that character. It's my bet that after you've done all this work, you'll utilize principles of textual analysis to create a rich character, a living, breathing human being. To get you in the idea of creating a human being, you're going to create a Facebook profile as a group for a character that I've assigned you, and you have, we'll give you until next Tuesday to get it done.